What's up, everybody? Well, guess what? This is the video that I'm going to make that's going to show you guys what you're going to need and how to go about making my cranberry raspberry cream cheese jello that I made for Thanksgiving. Now, this is totally awesome because you can make it for Christmas too. So, you're going to need some sugar. You're going to need ground clove. You're going to need ground cinnamon, some lemon juice, vanilla extract, a large box of raspberry jello, either whole or jellied cranberries in the can, a block of cream cheese, and some sour cream. And you're going to need an 8x8 by 1.5 to 2 inch deep pan. All right, so stay tuned, watch the whole video to see the process on how this is made. All right, so in the meantime, in order to make this, you need 2 cups of water. So go ahead and get those measured out. Now I'm using a 2-quart pot, and I'm using an old school copper bottom 2-quart pot. So I'm going to put 2 cups of water into this, and I'm going to get it boiling. And then once it starts boiling, I'll go ahead and move on to the rest of the recipe so that you can understand how to make this. This will take you 2 days to make this because you do need to let the base set up overnight before you make the topping for it. So just to let you guys know that, okay? So there's the 2 cups of water, and I'm going to go ahead and get that boiling. Once that's boiling, I'll cue back up and show you the rest of the process. Okay, so now that the water is boiling, go ahead and take your cranberries. Now it's easier to do it this way. A lot of people, even my mom, would like to do the jello first, but at least with you doing the cranberries first, you get to see it dissolve when it's good to go before you add your jello. Otherwise, it's a guessing game. So go ahead and get your jellied cranberry sauce. Dig this out of the can and put it right in here, just like that. Okay, there it is. Got it all. Good to go. So what I like to use is a potato masher, one of the old school ones, okay? And then you're gonna take this and you're gonna mash it up into the boiling water really, really finely so that you've got nice little chunks in there. And then if you've got a mixer, like an electric mixer or anything like that, that really helps it a lot. I use a hand mixer, so you know, it's a little bit more of a process with it, but make sure you mash this up really, really well. The fact that your water is hot is going to help solidify the cranberries a little bit more. So now that I've got most of that mashed up, you can go ahead and call it good with your potato masher. That's the only thing you're really going to need it for. So, like I said, if you have an electric mixer, great. If not, a hand mixer. I personally like to use a hand mixer because I live in a bus and I'm limited on power. And you know, motors just drain batteries quick. So you go ahead and mix this up really well, just like that. And you'll feel it grind in there if you're catching anything, so keep that in mind. Like if you've got chunks in there, you're gonna feel it, okay? So next thing you're gonna add is you're gonna add 1 teaspoon, a quarter teaspoon of your ground clove into this, just like that. And then you're also going to grab and add a quarter teaspoon of your cinnamon and add that in, just like that. You're going to take a tablespoon of lemon juice, and then at this point you can open up your box of jello. And don't worry about the instructions on the back of this. It's not really that big of a deal because it does say 2 cups boiling water, 2 cups cold water, but you don't add the 2 cups cold water. You just add the jello mix. the canned cranberries substitute for the other 2 cups of water. So get that in there, and then take your mixer. It's a lot easier to do this with a hand mixer as opposed to an electric one, because an electric one will make this stuff fling everywhere. Okay, so get that mixed in really, really good. Just like that. And at this point, you can go ahead and turn your fire off on your stove. If you're running an electric stove, turn your power off to your stove. And make sure you got this mixed really, really good. It'll start to froth up a little bit. I'm pretty sure you can see it in the video how it's starting to froth up a little bit, just like that. That's basically what you want. It gets you basically to the point where it's about ready to pour. All right, so I'm gonna call that good. So now what you're gonna do is you're gonna take and you're gonna add this to your 8x8 by 1 7/8 to 2-inch deep pan. Okay, if you have one of these that isn't foil like this one and it happens to be Pyrex glass, definitely a good way to go. If not, you can pick these up at Walmart, you can pick them up any grocery store or anything like that, so it's not really that big of a deal. You just make sure that it's 8x8 by 2 inches deep, no less than 1 7/8 or whatever the measurement actually is. I know it's a really, you know, smaller increment measurement that they use for those, but 2 inches optimal. You take this and all you do is just pour it in. Pour the whole thing in there just like that. And then stick that in the fridge overnight. The next day, you can start making your toppings. So make sure you stay tuned, because that's the part that also takes a little bit of, you know, playing with to get it right, depending on what you like. But I'm giving you the actual recipe, all right? So you do that, you put it in the fridge, and I'll see you in a minute. All right, so I let the Jello set up overnight, and I'll show you what it looks like right now. You can see it right there. It's not really gonna pour anywhere, so it's nice and set. So now I'm gonna make the topping. Okay, like I said, you make the Jello the night before, put it in the fridge, you make the topping the next day. Now you can actually make this topping, put it on, and then serve it if you want. I personally like to make the topping, put it on, and then throw it back in the fridge for another day, just to kind of harden up the topping a little bit, because it usually works better that way. Otherwise the topping does end up just a pinch runny. But when it comes to making this topping, you're gonna take a 1/2 cup of sour cream and you're gonna add that to a large mixing bowl. Okay, now usually what I do is I'll just grab my 1/2 cup and I'll come in here and I'll scoop what I need right out of it, just like that. And then if you have one of these little rubber pastry spoons or spatulas, go ahead and make sure that that's all the way in there, just like that. Okay, and then you're just making sure you have exactly a 1/2 cup, and then go ahead and put that into your mixing bowl. And then after you get this completely out of here, which, you know, you're gonna have to dig a little bit, mostly because it's the only way to accurately measure that you have 1/2 cup of sour cream. You get that all taken care of. Make sure you get all the sour cream you possibly can, so that you don't end up short on this recipe. Believe me, if you come up short and you're used to eating this, you're going to severely notice a difference. If this is your first time making it and you skip a little bit, it's not that big of a deal, okay? So now that that's taken care of, you are going to take a 1/2 cup of sugar. And I always add the sugar on top of the sour cream. just because you want the sour cream to be the softest part of this. So I'll pour that right in just like that. So there's my ½ cup of sugar. And then you're going to take a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Just like that. And then you take your entire block of cream cheese. Now, if you want to take this out of the fridge and let it get a little bit warm, it's going to help out with the process. If not, it's not really that big of a deal. So you're going to take all your cream cheese and just add that to your bowl. Just like that, okay? You can see you get as much of it as you possibly can. And then get yourself a spoon, a big spoon, something with a really long handle. The size of the spoon is up to you. But you're basically going to use this to help mash all this together to start it, so that you have the ability to get this all mixed up. Okay, now as you can see, I'm going to go ahead and hold this off to the side. Now you're going to take this and you're going to scoop the sour cream on top of the cream cheese just to help you mix it easier to get it started. Okay, and then you're literally going to mix it all together. All right, now the sugar that's in this is going to help just a little bit to break it all down. Okay, and this is the part where if you have an electronic mixer, it's really going to come in handy, because a hand mixer to do this is kind of a pain. So I'll just give you forewarning right now. A hand mixer does not make this any easier at all. And one of the things that you can do if you want to, I don't recommend it for the first time you make this, but once you get used to it, you can actually warm this up just a little bit on your stove, and it will help solidify the cream cheese just enough to make it a little easier to mix. But between the sugar that you've added to it and the vanilla extract and sour cream, it really helps break down the cream cheese quite a bit. And like I said, you just smash it and smash it and smash it. I would, use the potato masher on this, but what I found is that when you do use the potato masher, you end up losing a lot because you can't really get all of it off of it very easily. So you just kind of get it to something like this right here. You can see it. I know it's kind of hard to see with the lighting that I have, but you can see how it's really kind of just loosened up a lot. And so you are going to mix this very, very thoroughly until it is as smooth as possible. Now, if you end up with a couple of tiny little lumps in it, it's not really that big of a deal, okay? But you don't want any massive clumps in this thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull my pastry blade out, or rubber spatula, or whatever you want to call it. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead, since this is what I'm going to use to apply it, I'm going to set it right on top, because it's not really going to make a difference, because it all gets mixed anyway. So you can see the type of consistency that I'm starting to have in here. And like I said, if you have an electronic mixer of any kind, whether it's a, one that you sit on your counter or one that you got to hold that's electric and it's got the egg beater blades on it, by all means go to town. It's going to make it a lot easier for you. But for me, like I said in the beginning of this video, because I do not have that piece of equipment, I use the hand mixer. just like this, okay? Now this does really take a toll on your wrist and stuff, but as you can see, it's still mixable. It's just a lot harder and thicker to mix. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this all mixed up, and then once I have it all mixed up, then I go ahead and I spread it to the top of the Jello. Now, if you have a second person that can help you when you're using these, because you have to use two hands with a hand mixer, the second person can spin the bowl for you as you are mixing with this. If you have an electric mixer, you're good to go because you can use one hand to rotate the bowl as you move the mixer around. So you just get this nice and beat up as much as possible. Get as many of the lumps out of it as you possibly can so that it's a nice smooth spread onto the top of the Jello. So I'm going to rotate my bowl just a little bit. And then, like I said, if you don't have a second person helping you and you're using a hand mixer, just kind of manipulate it to one side of the bowl and then mix it up. Pick your mixer up and put it in the areas where it builds up the most. You know, because you're always going to build up more on one side of the bowl than the other. So you get this all nice and mixed up. You can even kind of use the mixer to manipulate the bowl. As you can see, I'm kind of giving it that little bit of nudge as I'm rotating the mixer, and it's helping rotate the bowl just a little bit. If you can't see it that well because of the lighting, I'm sorry about that, but you get the idea of how this works. So now that that's all taken care of, it mixes up relatively quick once you get used to doing this. And like I said, the more smooth you can make this, the better. But if you do have it just a pinch lumpy, it's really not that big of a deal because it's not going to change anything. Just make sure that it's thoroughly mixed, okay? You don't want it to where there's giant clumps, because if there's giant clumps, you're going to have a conflict in taste when you're eating it. You'll taste sour cream that's got vanilla extract kind of flavoring to it, and then you're going to taste cream cheese that has the vanilla flavor to it. So just make sure that you have it whipped up the best you possibly can. And then once you got it whipped up, you can go ahead and spread it on the top. Now, this one right here is about where I want it, at least for me. And you can see it right here. I'll kind of see if I can get some good lighting for it. You know, you're looking at that right there. You want that mashed potato kind of consistency to this. And once you get it to the mashed potato consistency, you're pretty much good to go. So you can go ahead and you can spread it on your Jello. I love this stuff. It's so good. I grew up with this. It's a family tradition. So I'm sharing it with you guys because when it comes to the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, this is an amazing dessert to add with your dinner. I'll tell you that right now. But now you just literally pop it on and then spread it. So I'm going to go ahead and dump this on here. And because I love this stuff so much and I'm using a rubber spatula, get every little last bit you possibly can out of the bowl, because you're really going to want all this on your Jello, because otherwise you don't get the full effect. You kind of feel like, I wish I had more topping, or it's lacking something, you know? So I always make sure that I get as much as possible out of the bowl. Mostly because I just love this stuff so much. Just like any other recipe you use for cakes and stuff like that, get as much as you can out of the bowl, okay? And then you can see what I've got going on here. I'll actually pick this up since it's safe to do so, and I'll bring it a little bit closer to the camera. You can see what's going on. So now all you do is just spread it evenly to your edges. I like to work in circles because it has the advantage of fluffing it down and pushing it into all the areas without getting it caked up on the side of the pan. Now, this is pretty much it, but if you wanted to add anything to the top, you can add crushed walnuts, you can add raisins, you can add craisins, you can slice banana and put it on top of this. You can really add a lot more fruit to this if you want to, and you can even add fruit to the inside of the Jello. But I would highly recommend that you try the recipe as is before you add anything else to it. So try the recipe, and then from there, go ahead and run your experiments. That's what I'm going to do the next time I make it. I'll probably put some other stuff in. I was thinking sliced bananas, you know, maybe some craisins, crushed walnuts, and all that stuff, and I'd go from there. But this is basically it. Now I'm going to throw this back in the fridge, and then tomorrow it's going to be good to go. So let me know if you got any questions in the comments down below. I really hope you have a chance to make this and you try it and you like it. If you liked anything about this video, leave a like on it. Share it with a friend, because this is amazing for a holiday dessert, okay? And then don't forget your notification bell, all right? A lot of people forget that when they hit the subscribe button. They forget to hit their notification bell. So you guys take care. I'll see you next time. And make sure that you have a dedicated rack you can put it on in your refrigerator, okay? And if you got a lid for the pan, it really helps. If you've got a big family and you need to make a whole bunch of it, double the recipe, including the pan sizes that you use to make it, all right? I just figured I'd add that just so you guys know, all right? You guys take care. I'm going to chow down on this tomorrow.